Hey Jake, sorry this video is taking so long to get to you, but I'll do a really quick breakdown of one of Emil's walking baseline examples, the very first one. Make sure you have it right in front of you. I have it right here on my music stand. So what he's doing is he's going through four different chords: A minor 7, G major 7, A minor 7, D7, G major 7, and E7 sharp 9, and that's just a common jazz turnaround. That's all a circle fourths progression. So A to D is a fourth, D to G is a fourth, and then you have E7, which is 5 of A minor, and that's how you get back to A. So do, 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 do. A minor 7, D7, G major 7, E7 sharp 9. So that's a 2, 5, 1, 6 in the key of G. 2 being the 2 minor of G, G, A. Second scale degree is a minor 7 chord, A minor 7 to D7, which is the 5 of a G major scale, G, A, B, C, D. And diatonically, that's a dominant 7th quality, so you have D7 to the 1 chord of the key, G major 7, and to the 6th chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. E is the 6th scale degree, and that's usually a dominant 7th chord shape, chord quality. And since it's leading back to a 1 minor, or it's leading back to a minor 7 by way of 5th motion, that's a 5th. E to A is a 5th interval. We can use extended chord qualities, and this one is a sharp 9, so that Jimi Hendrix chord. So anyway, the way he gets from A minor 7 to D7 is he uses 4 beats, and he lays out what to play on each one of those beats based off of the 7 different methods. So he uses the first method from A minor 7 to D7, and method 1 lays out that on beat 1 you use the root note of the first chord. Our first chord is A minor 7, the root note is A. On beat 2, he plays a half step below the root, so we drop 1 fret back and play G sharp. On beat 3, we play the root again, and on beat 4, we play a neighbor tone of the next chord. So a neighbor tone is a half step relation of the next chord. So the next chord is D7. We have A minor 7 to D7, and our first 3 walking bass line over beat 1, 2, and 3 was root, half step, root. Neighbor tone of the next chord is D note. So our neighbor tone is either 1 fret back or 1 fret above. So either D flat or D sharp on beat 4. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. In that case, I use a neighbor tone below the root of the next chord. So D flat, 1 note below the root of the next chord, D, on beat 4. Now I can use a chord tone 1 half step above the next chord tone. So in that case, I use D sharp. So that covers our 4 beats right there from A minor 7 to D7. So that's all he's doing in method 1, and he adds in some comping techniques. So on the and of 1, he plays the upper structure of an A minor 7. So a lot of times we play our A minor 7 chord like this: A, G, C, E. I like to bar it, so he does the same thing, and he puts that upper structure on the and of 1. And he does that with his right hand, so 1 and then he follows the bass line in with the rest. And we decided our bass line was root, half step below the root, root, and he does neighbor tone of the next chord being a half step below. So he plays D flat on beat 4 to get to 1. So we have do, 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 do is our bass line, and he puts in a comping chord on the and of 1. So he has 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1. So again, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, from D9, D7 to G major 7, he's using a whole different method. He's using method number 5. Method number 5 It says on beat 1, play the root note, which now we're on D7, so our root note is D. Play a scale tone. So a scale tone comes from the G major scale. So if we're playing a scale tone, method 5 says on beat 2 use a fifth. So a fifth away from D is A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A. So if I'm on D, I can play an A right here, which is a fifth above, or an A right here, which is a fifth below. So Emil chooses to play that a fifth below. So his beat 1 is on D, the root note. His second note on beat 2 is a fifth below on A. Method number 5 says go back to beat 3 and play the root note. So Emil has D, A, D, root, 5, root. And then for method number 5, neighbor tone to the next chord. So the next chord is a G chord. So neighbor tone would mean a G sharp or a G flat. And in this case, Emil uses a G flat. So his whole walking bass line from D7 to G sounds like this. D, root, D, flat step, flat, half step below, G, D, A, D, G flat, G, root, fifth, root, neighbor tone below, next chord. So again, he uses the same comping method. He puts the upper structure of the chord on the and of 1. So he's playing a D9 shape, which we do a lot. It may look like this. We have D, F sharp, C, E. So we had A minor 7 going to a D7. Now he uses his right hand and he plays the upper structure, just the top 3 notes. He plays on the and of 1 after the root note. So 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2, 3, 4. Then he continues the bass line that we talked about. 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1. So the first 2 chords, we're gonna use first chord to the second chord, we're using method 1. From the second chord to the third chord, we're using method number 5. And with Emil's comping pattern, the whole thing sounds like this. Again. So that gets us from A minor 7 to D7 and to G7. On G major 7. On G major 7, he uses method number 2. We look at method number 2. Beat 1 is the root. Beat 2 is a chord tone. So we're using something from a G major 7 arpeggio. And G major 7 arpeggio is G, B, D, F sharp, 1, 3, 5, major 7. That all comes from a G major scale. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. If I play that scale in thirds, G, B, D, F sharp, I get a G major 7 chord. So you can pick any one of those chord tones on beat 2. It looks like Emil chooses the third. So on beat 2, he plays a B natural. So beat 1 is the root, beat 2 is the third. Beat 3 is another chord tone, and looks like he uses the fifth. So his first 3 beats are, sorry, I don't know if you can hear my phone, but I got a group message going on. I'll try to turn that off for us. So on beat 3, he uses the fifth. So for the first 3 beats, he's playing a major triad. Root, 3, 5, G, B, D. Okay, on beat 6, he plays a chord tone or a neighbor tone of the next chord. In this case, he's playing a neighbor tone, which is a half step away from the next root note. And in this case, he's playing a D sharp or an E flat to get to the very last chord, E. So the third chord, he uses method number 2, and it sounds like this. 1, 3, 5, neighbor tone, half step below the root of the next chord, root of the next chord. And again, he's sticking with playing a comping pattern by using the upper structure, the top 3 notes, and playing that on the and of 1. So he goes 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2, 3, 4. So he plays beat 1 with his thumb, the root note, and then plays these top 3 strings, F sharp, B, and D, with his right hand and his top 3 fingers right there. So 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1. And that's how we get to E7. Root and third, 5 neighbor tone, root of the last chord. So starting from the very first chord, it's going to sound like this. Sorry. One more time. A little bit faster. Okay. Now we're getting from the E7 back to the A minor 7. It's just a cycle. It's a 4-bar cycle. So what he has on the downbeat, he's playing the very full chord. So he's using the root note, E, and he's playing the entire upper structure of an E7, G sharp, D, and G, natural. He's using the entire upper structure on beat 1. He's playing the root and the upper structure on beat 1. And then he uses method 7, which is a little unconventional, but we'll stick with it. The first 3 beats are the root note. So all he's doing is 1, 2, 3, and then neighbor tone of the next chord. So he's using a half step below or above the very next chord. And in the cycle, we're starting over again, so we're back to A minor 7. So you can pick an A flat or an A sharp. And in this case, he's picking A flat. So his bass line for the very last chord, getting back to the beginning, is just root, 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 neighbor tone of A to A. Okay, and when he puts the entire upper structure on beat 1, it sounds like this. Back to A minor 7. So the full progression sounds like this. Slow. Sorry. Again. A little bit faster. A little bit faster. I'm sorry, he on the very, 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 very last beat, he used the chord tone directly above the root. But either one sounds great, so it really doesn't matter. He just decided to use A sharp going to A instead of A flat, so that sounds like this. Oh, it looks like he did the exact same thing on method 5. So we all have different preferences, so he likes to use a half step above, going below. It really doesn't matter which one you use. It's the same type of sound. So from the D7 to the G minor 7, his very last beat is a neighbor tone above to the root note. And from the E7 to the A minor 7, again, he's using a root tone above. So the full thing sounds like this correctly. A little bit faster. Alright, so hopefully that helps. Let me know if you have any other questions, and yeah, we'll get back into it soon, learn some more stuff. Alright, man. Have a good one.